Hello, and welcome to the DCIFF Film Chat Podcast. I'm Erin DeVos, and I'll be your host for this season. Join us for insightful interviews that explore the work of up-and-coming independent filmmakers from all over the world. If you're passionate about film and keen to learning about the creative process from the future cinema greats, this podcast is a must-listen for you. Our mission is to provide listeners with the engaging and informative conversations about successful and innovative films, including features, shorts, documentaries, animation, and web series from across the globe. The DCIFF Film Chat Podcast is a unique opportunity for independent filmmakers to have their voices heard in a way no other film festival can provide. You can listen to the DCIFF Film Chat Podcast on all podcast platforms or visit our website at DCIFF-indie.org/DCIFF-podcast. Thank you. Hello, Film Chat fans. I'm your host, Erin DeVos at the DCIFF Film Chat Podcast. This episode, I interviewed with the two filmmakers from WOLFPACK, the director Cédric and Peyster, and we had a lot of fun talking about the indie film industry, things that are happening from a global standpoint, and I really think this is a great conversation where we talk and get very candid about the industry itself, and I hope you all enjoy this episode. So without further ado, let's dive in. Welcome, Cédric, to the DCIFF Film Chat Podcast. I'm really excited to have you here with us and to come all the way from France and premiering your film WOLFPACK.
And thank you for having me.
Absolutely. It's such a pleasure. And yeah, if you don't mind just sharing a little bit about yourself and your nominated film.
Yeah, about myself, I'm from France. You can judge that by the accents. And well, I studied movie filmmaking in the early 2010s, like 2007 to 2010. And then I went working in television, but mostly broadcasting, so it had nothing to do with what I studied. And I lasted like 7 years, about 7-8 years, and then I just stopped it. I couldn't take it anymore. It was just so boring. So I came back to editing at first, and I was finishing my formations because I was a bit out of date, and then COVID came. So that was great. A lot of time never work. And with my friend Stéphane, who is my co-producer, we started to talk about making our movies, but it was just an idea at this point. And so I decided to write a script. There was a short story that I read a long time ago that I really liked, but it was just a short, a fantastic genre story about young people killing old people at night because, well, there was no reason actually. It was like the struggle between youth and elders, and I thought it was a nice starting point, but we had to make it more like rich and enrich it. So I started to think about how that conflict could translate in the modern time, and well, it was easy. I mean, the short story was published in the 60s, and that's the generation, the young generation at that time, that is our old generation now, and that's what we call the boomers. So it was pretty easy to find something the grief that we could have against them, about the climate change, about the politics. So that's how the story began to unfold. But just a story about two sides fighting each other wasn't interesting. I needed to have a real point of view, and that's how started the father and son conflict. It needed to be small conflict within the big conflict, so that we have something to get attached to, something to care about. And about that time, my father passed away. So, and my father and I, we had a very complicated relationship when I grew up, and we started to make things up about when I was like 25. Mm-hmm. So I had like less than 10 years good with him. Sometimes it was struggling, but mostly it was good. Mm-hmm. And then he was diagnosed with cancer. And well, I felt it was unfair. But he left me and my siblings some money. And that's when I decided that, okay, I can invest in a house, that's a good start, or I can make something that really counts for me. And I'm gonna make it my one chance. If it doesn't work, I'll do something else. I'm not gonna direct movies or anything. But I wanted to try and to make it my best. So I did. I went all in, and it was so hard because the crew was amazing, the cast was amazing. Almost everyone worked for free. Some people we couldn't not pay them. Yeah. It was very complicated, especially in post-production. But people gave so many times, so many of their energy, their passion. And to me, it's not just my movie. It's a movie made by people, and so it's their movie too. Sipan's movie, and everyone, the DOP, the sound engineer, the cast, everyone was very involved in the movie and wanted to make it the best it could be. Mm-hmm. So in the end, we started shooting. Nothing went right. Mm-hmm. It was always something. And also I have a big default. One of my problems is I like to make a lot of shots for a scene. So because I also edit the movie. And so I know sometimes things that you think works in your head won't work on screen. Yeah. So I try to make a lot of coverage. And well, it takes time. Time and money. Yes. So Sipan, who was my co-producer, but also my first assistant director, he was like, okay, we are very short on timing. Are you sure you need this? Yes. Okay. And that was the question that came back a lot. Yeah. So we did, and we started, the movie was finished written in March or April 2022. Mm-hmm. And we started planning the shooting, and we started shooting on October 2022. Oh wow! And that was the first weekend. Then we had another weekend on November, and then we stopped. We stopped because one of the actors dropped the movie, and that was our main character. Oh wow! Oh wow! He couldn't do it anymore, so we were like, okay. So we started shooting one scene with him, and another one. There's one that we can manage to not show his face, okay, so we don't have to reshoot this one. But the other one is the one in the basement where they kill the 3 people. So yeah, we see a lot of his face and a lot of his dialogue. So we have to reshoot it at some point. Oh wow! So we had to plan everything, and we prepared the shooting for the end of January 2023. And that was the time where we had a lot of outdoors scenes. So it was winter, in the forest, near Paris. It was rough. But I don't know how, not a single rainy day. Always we managed to have like dry weather. Cold, but dry. Yeah. So we survived. Because the biggest fear that we had is that one night we have rain and the other night we don't. Yeah. So nothing goes right in the editing. Like it's rainy on one shot and not in another one. Yeah. So we were very scared of that. And we had like 5 weekends of shooting between the end of January and the end of February. And then stopping again, we had to find the location for the basement. We didn't have it. It was very difficult to find something that wasn't going to cost too much, because we wanted to have like at least 30 people in the audience for the speech and everything. So it had to be big, it had to be practical, it had to be near Paris or in Paris. And well, when you want to shoot in Paris, the prices are outrageous. So we managed to find something, and it was cheap, and it was inside Paris, and we're like delighted. And the person that was the owner was so nice and so helpful. And when he knew about all the problems that we had, he became to a lot more helpful.
Oh wow!
So those last 3 real shooting days were a bit easier, and we had to manage a crowd of 30 extras plus the cast plus the crew. It was very challenging, especially for I didn't make any movie for 12 years. I made movies when I was in school, and then I stopped, and then I came back for this.
Yeah.
So I was stressed. Sipan, it was his first movie as an assistant director. Many of the crew are students or just out of school, so they didn't have much experience, but they learned from this movie, and it was an experience that was great for everyone. And we managed.
Yeah.
We ended the shooting, and then the editing started. So that's at this point that I realized that some pieces were missing. That I didn't expect to be missing since I didn't thought about it before.
Yeah.
But I realized that, okay, we missed something. That's how the propaganda video at the beginning of the film, we started shooting that.
Oh, okay.
Because the movie was supposed to start directly in the street when the old guy is being chased. And I was like, okay, it's a bit too rapid, too thrust upon the audience.
Yeah.
So they need to know in what kind of world they are going to evolve. So we have to prepare them for, okay, climate change, fires, riots, and the beginning of, they started a dialogue, no one listened, they're gonna fight. And I wanted also the audience to be, they have a point. They're violent, but they have a point. It had to be an escalation. Otherwise, it's just, young people killing old people, and you're not going to get behind that.
Yeah.
So that's why the propaganda video, as well as the speech, were very important.
Yeah.
The speech as well, because I really wanted the audience to be in a position where they were going to be embarrassed. Because nothing that the main character Victor says is wrong. Someone is responsible, and the other ones, if they're not responsible, they're accepting the status quo. So what to do? And it shows the stupidest thing, but then again, I'm not gonna say I'm pro-chase, pro-hunt for the old people, but I'm gonna say if the dialogue stops, that's what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
That's probably sure.
Yeah, I was gonna say, well, that was gonna be one of my questions too, is just kind of, being familiar with the plot and like how, the young are hunting the old, essentially. Can you see it happening? Because when I watched, so I've seen the film, and watching it too, it just made me chilled, like, to the fact that we're all going through this. It's very modern of the issues that are brought up in the film, so it just made me think that it could be possible, but also made me think about how we always resort to violence to try to solve certain issues too. So, and it just kind of put that like full picture of being like, is violence the answer? It's not always the answer, but it always like, teetered with that idea. How do you feel about that?
The politically correct thing to say is I am against violence.
Yes.
And it's true. I'm not for violence.
Oh yes.
But the thing is, I only see results when it's violence. And so Saturday, the exhibition with all the farmers, and the police tried to contain all the farmers that were going to see the president.
Yeah. And
it was very violent, but not for the farmers. The police was assaulted.
Wow.
And it just proves to you that when it's violent, they listen.
Yeah.
So, what if Victor is right? What if violence is a solution? I don't know. I'm just a director.
The film is,
and it's not
fiction.
It's a fiction. It's not about encouraging violence.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just about pointing the light on the fact that if you stop the dialogue, if you say, okay, you're not going to listen, there's another possibility from the people that are demanding things.
Yeah.
So
it always amazes me, especially seeing when films in a way can be so realistic, like WOLFPACK, and also I'm trying to think of, have you guys seen the movie The Purge?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's what your film kind of reminded me of in a way, because it's just
We
like...
use the same masks. Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay. Like, that's why I was just like, why does that kind of look familiar? But aside from that, it just really made me think, wow, how modern society is really reflected here, but at the same time, like, how can we work through change without having that, again, not promoting violence, just such a confusing world we're all trying to live in, trying to figure it out.
And that's why films are so great, because you can express something that you don't obligatorily condemn, just to show what is a possibility.
Yeah.
So it's very useful.
Mm-hmm.
It's how we tell stories.
Exactly.
This is what can happen.
Definitely,
Yeah.
and it just really makes us think. Yeah.
A movie is not a solution by itself.
Yeah.
A movie is an option.
Mm-hmm.
It's what could happen, like you said. Maybe that's where violence should be pointed at.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that his movie is about the fact that violence may be a solution, but it's not pointed at the right person, because at some point in the movie they say that it's the rich people who are the problem,
Yeah.
not the average old guy, but those are the ones who come out at night. So there's a dumb thing going there, and that's where the militarization occurs, you know, and
Yeah.
we are
It's
obviously
not,
against
it's
militarization.
not just dumb. What I wanted them to be like dumb when they chase the father in the
Yeah.
forest.
Mm-hmm.
They never catch up, and he's like really slow,
Mm-hmm.
and they never see where he's going. They never watch. They're just having fun in the forest. It was on point. It was
On purpose.
on purpose, because I wanted the audience to feel that, okay, they're kind of stupid. I mean, they're not really doing it just for killing people. They're also doing it because they don't have anything else to do. It's like their purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very important also that the audience felt that they were choosing the easy way, always the easy way,
Yeah.
because they just brush off the fact that the rich people are responsible. They're just gonna say one sentence, and then they're gonna say, but the other guys, they're the problem. They're the ones that go voting. They're the ones that keep the system in place. They're the ones that listen to the media and everything. So it's all about what you hear in the far right media propaganda and everything, because it was very easy.
Yeah.
It's always easier to
Caricature,
caricature, but especially use the anger of people and turn it into something more constructive, but to manage to rise up and almost take power.
Yeah.
You had that in January 6th.
Yeah, no, oh my gosh, yeah, that was a whole thing, right?
Yeah, and when I saw it on TV, I was like, okay, how can this happen?
Right, I saw it all unfold on Twitter at the time. Like, I was just like, what is happening?
So if that can happen,
yeah,
why not WOLFPACK?
right.
Why not like people starting to come together at night and chasing old people, and then it becomes something more and more wider and wider, and then national and then international. And that's what the film was about, and that's one thing that I have regrets about. I wanted it to feel bigger.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to have more people for the speech and for the chase and for the hunt, because if it feels bigger, it's even scarier.
Yeah.
If you feel like you can't even walk in the street without having like 5, 10, 20 people right around you ready to kick your ass,
Yeah.
that's when you feel this anxiety.
And that's why in
yeah.
the movie, one of the ways that we showed that menace was by the music.
Yes.
Because
that got me.
the lack of people we had, or the lack of budget we had to have more people, we managed to have music and an edit that showed violence, brutality. The music is omnipresent. It's their theme. It's their world, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And the music symbolizes that world, and it's everywhere. It's during the whole movie. Some people even said there's too much music, but we're like, no, that's the right amount.
Right.
But the music was especially a choice when for the ending, because there's a twist ending, and it's fantastic genre. And I always said to our composer Geoffrey that we needed the music to keep the viewer inside the movie. it should never feel too realistic. So we took off all the cell phones because there were more in the movie. At one point, we wanted to. Well, we knew we couldn't have many people in the basement, so we decided that maybe we could film with the phones, the speech, and then we transmit it on like Instagram or anything live, and have people in their apartments, in the streets, watching it, and then deciding to go to the hunt. And that was when we wanted to make something bigger, but then I realized that too many cell phones, it was like a timestamp on the movie.
Yeah.
And it was okay, so it's not timeless movie. You can pinpoint it well in the 2010s or 20s. So I wanted to scrap that and make it like, okay, it can happen in any European city from the 1980s to whenever in the future.
Yeah.
So that's what I wanted, to feel like it's timeless.
And because his main influences also were the 80s movie.
Yes, but from America.
Movies from America, yeah, John Carpenter, etc.
Oh, yeah.
Or The Warriors.
Or the
Even if I don't like the movie. I love the aesthetic. So that's about Wolfpack and what we went for the political side.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, no, I'm glad we got into that because that was one of the discussions I wanted to bring into, and kind of there's one question I wanted to go into before the question I just thought of, which is why Wolfpack, like the name Wolfpack?
Oh. Well, because it's pretty much the American translation of the French title.
Oh.
La Meute.
It's, well, the French title is The Pack.
Oh, so
But-
then translated into English is Wolfpack? Or
Yes.
how do you mean? Okay.
But because
La Meute can be a pack of dogs or a pack of wolves.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
we thought of it as a pack of wolves because there's this whole. Okay, so again, on the political and social side of it, there's this whole thing about Victor being the alpha. There's this whole like incel thing going on, like in those far right things, you know, and they're
Yeah.
like. Those guys are masculine, they have to kill, they have to hunt, they have to show they're the best, etc., because that's how they think they can be the best, you know? But they're not the best. I mean, as Cedric said, the best is the bartender.
Yeah.
I mean, she's not an alpha anything.
she's an alpha from the father.
She's just a person, you know?
She's an alpha
there's
female.
this whole,
Yeah.
But there's this whole thing about wolves having leaders and following leaders, sometimes not as blindly as we think, because wolves are more intelligent than humans, I think, on some points.
Oh yeah, I went to
Um,
a wolf reservation, and they're very beautiful. But yes.
Yeah. So anyway, that's why the pack, you know, because it's a pack with different packs, and the main pack is the wolf pack.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
And
no,
it's a nice logo.
That's the logo,
no, it
yes.
is a cool logo, and I
But
love the.
it's true that
Mhm.
the wolf thing is only in English. In French, all the not jokes, but everything turns around the dogs. They're barking and they're biting. If I wanted to translate more correctly in English with the subtitles, I should have said howling and biting. But that's because Victor said he's talking about barking and biting at some point. So, and hounds too. That's one of the words that is used in French. So we translated like exactly. I didn't make any translation that were more accurate with the title. So it's Wolfpack because, well, it's wolves. It's husky. On the
Well,
logo.
it's better than Husky Pack, you know. Like
It's weird.
no, but that's so cool. I hadn't realized that there was a different French title compared to the English title
Yes.
for your film.
But
So
it's
that's
still a French film.
fascinating. Yes, exactly. Still a French film, though. Yes, absolutely.
But actually, we are not using the French titles so much.
Oh, so you.
Because
You changed
most
it
of
to
the
that?
festivals that he went to were international, so Wolfpack was used for most of them.
Oh, cool.
So he did just like 2, maybe 3 French festivals. So to us, it's more Wolfpack. When we talk about it, it's Wolfpack. When we exhibit it, it's Wolfpack.
Yeah.
Or La Meute, Wolfpack.
Yeah. Well, actually, there's an anecdote story about that. La Meute is the name of the movie, and sometimes like some festivals see La Meute, and they sent us emails saying "Dear La," because they think it's our name or something, you know.
First name.
So they just take the, you know, like the La.
Oh,
Dear
those
La.
databases, yeah. Oh,
Automatic,
wow, that's funny.
automatic emails.
Right, exactly. Oh my gosh.
They don't check.
So much great information I hadn't realized about the film too, and kind of the flip side. And you guys have been in the industry, and you mentioned you've been in broadcast, going to film. Have you guys identified like any challenges throughout creating the film or within the industry itself?
Well, creating a movie, any movie in France, is very different because we rely on help from the government. But we didn't. We didn't because we felt that we were not going to receive this help, and it takes a long time to get to it. You have to make files and ask for it, and then it's just bureaucracy, and it takes a lot of time. And then it's a selection, and they receive like 2,000 projects, and they select like 6 or
Wow.
10 every 3 months or every 4 months. So we knew that if our presentation wasn't perfect on the first try, we had to try and try again with no certainty of success.
And we were in a time of our lives, of our career, that we didn't want to let the momentum die, you know, we had to make it.
Yeah.
We needed the energy that we had at this point to just make the movie and not wait to be able to make the movie. And we were afraid that since we didn't have a proper structure, we have like well, it's called association in France, but it's like
It's more like I don't know.
non-profit.
Yeah.
It's like a non-profit.
Okay.
So it's a status that allows us to make movies and to have like the insurance, everything to ask for locations and material, crew and everything. But we can't sell the movie. We have to have a producer, a real one, identified by the government, if we want to sell the movie. So we decided that we will start our own company, and we are doing that right now.
Ah, exciting.
But because we want our freedom, we like our independence, but then again we want to work with others. But we need to have some creative control. So it's difficult to make movies when you're alone, and that's how, since we made this movie, and we didn't want just to go see producers everywhere in Paris and everything and say, yeah, we're motivated, we have projects, let us show you, give us money. We have nothing to show for. So I decided, okay, I'm gonna pay for this. It's gonna be rough, but at the end we have a movie. If it's bad, we drop. If it's good, we continue.
And now we're in Washington.
And now we're in Washington.
Yeah.
So it might be good. Good enough.
Well, I liked the film and the fact, you know, as we brought up like the modern like society aspects of it, and just how you made it so eerie, and the music that you mentioned to really bring it out that much more. So
You hear that, Ricardo? You're the best.
That's
Like,
our
yes,
DOP.
Ricardo.
And Geoffrey is the best too. He's the one that composed the music. And
Oh, wow.
the fun fact is he had only 1 month to do it.
1 month? Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's a tight turnaround.
Yes.
So that's really great.
Because he had 50 minutes of music to do.
Yeah, that's what I was like. That's a lot
But he
to
was
do.
very excited, and he did such a great job.
Yeah.
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 No, truly well done.
In general, the main struggle of the movie was actually, so finding the crew was not that hard. You know, I mean,
Keeping it.
everybody wanted to make to be part of it. You know, and the more it went, the more word of mouth was. Oh, it's a big project, it's cool, you know, so people would call other people and say, I can't this day, but this guy can, you know. Everybody helped us, everybody was nice, you know, like, I mean, people have never been anything but nice on
And
the movie.
helpful.
And helpful
Yeah.
and etc. And
That's what I said at the beginning. They were very dedicated to the movie.
Yeah.
Without
Yeah.
even knowing me in the first place, most of them knew Sipan because he was their teacher.
I was their own teacher.
Oh, that's
yeah.
right. Yeah.
And then he just went, introduced me to them, and said, "He has a movie to do. Do you want to make it with him? Okay, let's go."
And actually, the first day I was supposed to be assistant director because at some point I became assistant director on the movie, and it's not my job, so I was very afraid, you know. And I was talking to the second camera assistant. I'm like, man, I'm so scared, you know. I'm under stress. I have to be the head of this whole crew, you know. This guy is like, you were our teacher. You were our assistant director in life, you know. Like you can be that on a movie. No, the thing is. The problem we mainly had is that shooting was on over a year, so we had to keep the energy, you know.
Yeah.
And we had to refrain from doing too many reshoots, etc. You know, because we had the time.
Right.
We had the time to do something bad, you know. But in the end, we did something good. We did something we're proud of. But and we saw the crew actually from the beginning. It was okay. I mean, I'm not saying it was bad, but at the beginning it was harder, you know, because people don't really always know each other. They didn't know Cédric. Cédric didn't know them, you know. And it's the whole pacing that you find, like any job, you know, you get to know your colleagues, people you work with, you know. And at some point we were at -2 degrees in the woods all night. In February, and we were laughing. It was the best nights of our lives, even if it was stressful as hell.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, just even like thinking back to that scene, it also didn't look like winter there, so that's why I was very impressed.
It was winter. It was, and because we shot outside a lot, we were reliant a lot on electric generators. But one night out of two, they wouldn't work, so we had to make them work. Got a car battery.
Yeah. At one point, the key grip had to take my car battery out of the car to jumpstart the generator.
Oh my god!
I was so afraid I couldn't go home.
Yeah, I was gonna say, well, I hope you made it home.
I did. It's just the clock on the car that went back to midnight, but it's okay.
Oh, that's okay.
I can live with that. We had a movie.
Exactly. Wow.
That's
Funny how all these nuggets. That's great.
That's the thing, being because we're at the independent film festival, but that's the whole thing about being independent is that the movie becomes part of our lives way more than if it was not independent, because it is in our lives. You do it and then you go live your life the other days, you know.
Right.
And then you're like, okay, what are we doing this weekend? So we're shooting, you know. And it was the first time for any one of us that we were on that big a set, you know.
Yeah.
And the whole independent thing was, yeah, we relied only on ourselves. So we had to find solutions for everything. If something went wrong, we had to have like 10 solutions, because we knew that the second one and third one wouldn't work, you know?
Right.
So we ended up with the best anecdotes ever.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
There's so many stories, so many things. It was very tiring.
It was an amazing experience.
Yeah.
For us.
No, and the fact that you mentioned like you were done shooting in 2023 and then went right to Film Fest season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I started the editing of the movie in April, and that's when I realized that some pieces were missing, and then we had like one night shooting for one thing and one afternoon shooting for the other. So that's how we get to 1 year of shooting. But the fact is, I calculated that we had like 14 days and nights of shooting. So we could have done the movie in 2 weeks, but people couldn't have 2 weeks straight because people were working jobs on the day.
And we didn't pay them.
And we didn't pay them, so we couldn't ask them to take like 2 weeks vacation to go shoot a movie with us.
Right.
So
and we didn't have the money for 2 weeks. I mean, 2 weeks would have been hard.
It's very complicated because the rates for renting the stuff that we used to shoot, it was cheaper on the weekends because nobody shoots on the weekend. No professional shoots on the weekend.
Yeah.
So it wasn't the same rate as the week.
Yeah.
So that's how we made arrangements, and we kept the movie within the budget.
And
That
There you go. Yeah, made within.
I mean,
didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
first time we showed the movie, like, I mean, not in festivals, etc., but we only showed it once to a few people. And one of them was a guy who used to work at my school, who still works at my school, where I teach, Maxime. And this guy saw the movie, you know, he wasn't part of it in any way.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point he's like, oh, so there's half the school on the end credits. I'm like, yeah, one half is the school, the other half is our families.
Yeah.
You know? Like, I'm Sipan the onist, there's like the three other onists in there.
Yeah.
His mother, the bar just down his house, you know, like everybody helped us. Everybody, like even people like a friend of mine, one afternoon we didn't have a person to drive a second truck. So I just called him. I'm like, oh, there's a second truck to drive. Can you come and help us out? He's like, yeah, sure.
Oh.
He
Why
came
not?
and
Right. Oh,
he
I
came
love that.
And that's how the movie was made.
Yeah, no, I think this is such a great conversation.
and that's
I
how
love
the
art
movie was
community.
made. And at the same time, that's also how the movie was almost never made. There's such a thin line. I mean, that line is so thin between it exists and it doesn't exist, and sometimes the reasons can be the same.
Yeah.
Because any of the things that we just told you are good enough reasons not to make a movie,
Mhm.
but we did it anyway. Because
Yeah.
I guess we're crazy and we love it.
Yeah. Oh.
So it went to the festival circuit in November of last year, and the first festival that showed it in Mexico, it was like a film school that had a festival,
Oh yeah.
and I sent it to them, but it was a work in progress, and I had like, well, maybe 1 or 2 weeks to finish completely the movie, and I knew I couldn't, so I was expecting them to say, well, you're not selected, and they selected it anyway.
Oh wow.
So they showed the movie in an unfinished version, and it won.
And it won.
Wow.
And here-
Congrats.
it won Best
Wow, that's
Picture.
been great.
And
Wow.
the first 5 prizes we won, we were
Wow.
like crazies, like, oh, that's amazing. And then at some point, there was a month where he used to tell me like, oh, today the movie won like 3 things. I'm like, okay. Like, life as always. You know?
Yeah,
At some
well
point it was
done.
too weird. The movie, well, I just had a mail today that was selected for another festival in May, and it's the 38th selection.
Oh wow.
So it's mostly, you know, monthly festivals, online festival or world festivals. So it's not screened for people. It has been screened in Mexico. It's been screened in Italy.
Mhm.
It's been screened in Poland, and here in
Mhm.
Washington. And well, most of the festival, well, they just select it, and then we know it's the nominees, and then the finalists, and then the winners. And sometimes we don't win,
Mm.
normal. But most of the time we receive the mail, and it was like, okay, congrats, you're an award winner. And we're like, why? But
Like, yeah.
did we do something right?
Yeah.
The movie works.
Yeah.
So 2 days ago, we're sitting here at the Regal Theater. We're watching the movie. First, he didn't want to watch the movie. He's like, "I'm not gonna watch it. I'm just gonna come for the Q&A." I'm like, "You should watch it because it's the only time you will see it with people you don't know, you know,
Yeah.
like with an actual audience." And I think you should feel how the crowd reacts to it and
Mhm.
be there. And there was some color grading issues that
Oh, yeah.
almost nobody didn't see except him because he's seen the movie like hundreds of times. So
No, I mean, yeah, I can see that.
half of the movie, the first half of the movie, he was either looking at me or looking down or his hand in his hands on his face, you know.
Mhm.
And I told him, like, don't worry, it's okay. It's a good movie you have, you know. I mean, those are small problems. It happens, you know. I mean, it's a
Right.
screening, it's a festival screening. There's always problems.
Oh yeah.
And those were not big problems, you know. And from that point on, he started seeing what was okay. So you're not better than your actors, you know. Like,
No, I know.
You did very
That's
good.
what I ended up saying. I understand
Okay.
where they come from.
Because
Yeah.
I'm the
You
producer,
always
you're my
want to do
talent.
the best you can, and you always feel like you don't give it.
Yeah.
And it's a good feel for your next project. but at the same time, it's like an anchor for yourself. You can't enjoy what you do once you've done it.
Yeah.
So I try to take it back and relax, but it's difficult because, well, I try to be the most professional, and what I said to him is that I don't want to see the movie ever again, because every time I watch it, there's something like I'm gonna say, I'm gonna cut this, I'm gonna reduce this, I should have kept this sentence. It's done. I'm not gonna go back to it. I'm not George Lucas.
Right.
That's
You're not going
why.
to edit over and over again. Yeah.
That's why I'm here, and I have the highest point of view on that, because I'm like the co-producer of the movie, and I was the assistant director, so I saw what he did, I saw what he put in it, I saw what each person that was in that movie did, you know,
Yeah.
and I know how good they did. And whenever they feel bad, whenever they have a problem, I can be the higher authority telling them, hey, calm down.
Yeah.
It's good, you know, because a year and a half ago, I was the guy he called at 2 a.m. While I was smoking cigarettes and drinking Diet Coke on my couch, and telling me, man, I have a screenplay. I read it, I'm like, let's do it.
Yeah.
Actually, it was 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Oh, 2 years ago now.
From the first moment, I believed in it, and I'm like, okay, come to my place tomorrow and we'll see how we make it work.
Yeah. Oh, well, this is exciting, and I just love how you guys, holistically share the story, and also like a little bit of nuggets along the way too. And I really appreciate both of your time. And how can we follow your journey?
Mostly on Instagram, and then we're gonna build on it. And when we're done creating the company, we'll have our own website and everything, so we can talk about the project that exists and the projects that will exist.
And
Definitely.
the name of the Instagram is Lux Obscura.
Yes, and it's spelled like it's pronounced.
LuxObscura.
And that's us.
That's us.
Wonderful.
We'll be around. You'll hear from
That's
us.
it. I'll put it in the show notes too. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
This podcast is brought to you by the DCIFF supporters. We could not be here without all of you to be sharing this amazing outlet with filmmakers from around the world. If you are interested in supporting DCIFF, head on over to our website through the link description in the bio of this episode, or you can go right to the website, which is DCIFF-INDIE.org, to connect with us and learn more about our Future of Film programs, our festival, and also more educational opportunities in what we do with our high school students, community, and beyond. We look forward to your support.